Beautifully cobbled streets with tufts of nature springing through, multiple bustling marketplaces to suit your every need, a proud wall that encloses the settlement and ensures the best protection in the land. These are just a few of the amenities of this fairy tale city. The sun is cradled here in this settlement built upon a gentle slope. It serves its roughly 500 residents with ease. This is a place where one can live knowing they have been successful in life and have earned a place among the morning's chosen. This is Morningshire. Well, hello there. Today I want to do a tour of a city that I built in Tiny Glade. I know Tiny Glade's mostly made for tiny glades and small cottages and stuff. There are certainly much better videos and builders in Tiny Glade on the internet and on YouTube even. But I recently started playing Tiny Glade and I feel like I finally figured out the basics of how to build, and I made an entire city. When I first saw Tiny Glade, my first thought was, how can I make this into a D&D city? And it has a bird's eye view camera setting, so I could turn this into a map of some kind of D&D city. But anyway, I thought I would give you a little tour of the place I made in Tiny Glade. Let's turn the lights back on. Yeah, this is Morningshire after all. Just a little overview. I have a few design schemes that I'll probably talk through, but I think we're gonna do a little walk around and kind of explain how the city's set up. Notable features from the outset is the river that runs through the city, which, again, I am new to Tiny Glade, but as far as I could tell, there wasn't a way I could make this grates or something that would go into the wall and be retractable, go up and down. So a solid wall will have to do. Also, I really wish that there was a way I could have had a bigger map. There may be mods for that, but the river is important to the structure of the city. But yeah, let's do a little walking tour and then maybe kind of talk through it as we go. Alright, let's start at the beginning. This is the entrance to the city, of course. I imagine there would be an actual settlement outside of the walled portion. It would be called Eveningshire or something. Something to complement Morningshire. And it would probably span around the entire perimeter. But this is when you know you've made it. Is when you can live inside the walls and be protected the whole time. It's good cheap. So this is the front gate. There would probably be some structures on the outside and maybe doors. Not just a giant archway. But there are limitations. So you enter here and you kind of enter into an alleyway. This is the lower class version, portion of the city. There's some little alleyways. We'll head that way in a bit. But yeah, head down the center. We've got some houses on either side. And up here is kind of the first little, not town square, but a little meeting place. This is supposed to be a well. And that is an important building here. That's supposed to be the not church. It's an important spiritual and community center. But let's head around to the right. There's a little sign in case you get lost. This is very helpful to be able to tell what's where. But anyway, this way is the way to a lot of the multi-family housing. Is kind of how I've split it up. So each of these buildings is meant to house they're supposed to be two on either side kind of thing, because there's a door there, come through here, and then there's a door here. I'm realizing now that the lower level does not have any windows, so if you live on this side you don't have any windows. It's dark. But yeah, there's there's a bunch of little houses and stuff, a bunch of little places people sit and live. This is an important little alley. This is where the old dudes gather and smoke and drink when they're supposed to be home or in bed. They come out here, and there's no tables in Tiny Glade, but I imagine I know people have made tables out of archways and stuff, but that's way too complicated. So just use your imagination. Just use your imagination. There's a table here, and there's a bunch of old guys, and they gamble and they talk and they drink and whatever. And then continue on around, and there's a couple alleyways here to get through, so they're not super cramped. And I do kind of like these alleyways with the little arches. I think it's really pretty. But yeah, it is kind of the same all the way around. In this segment, these two like layers of buildings here are essentially the same. But yeah, we'll continue on around the outside of it so we can get like the full picture here. There's a little area to relax. People have balconies. You can go up the balcony. I imagine there's like a love story here of the person who lives in this unit, and they can look across and they have like they're in love with whoever like lives here. Like they're rich and they're poor and like but they're in love and love conquers all. And so like they just stare at each other across the water until they work up the courage to like meet and stuff. But yeah, down this way. This is what I imagine to be the inn. I have all of the like public buildings or like, you know, stores, that kind of thing, are all marked with these purple flags that have like grain on them, or like this flower design or like leaf design. So that's kind of what that means. So this is the inn. This is multiple stories, 3 stories, and it's kind of a place that's meant for outsiders to stay if they're visiting or passing through. This is the tavern. There is like a small tavern in here, but this is really where it happens. This is the tavern. This is where all the drinking happens. As you can see, again, marked with this flag. It's a public building. And then out here is kind of like a guard way station. There are guards that are supposed to patrol along the parapets or the battlements. And they kind of like have a little house that they are stationed in, and there's also probably supplies in there and stuff. But yeah, that's what that's for. And then this place has a little staircase up to the balcony as well. Very exciting stuff. Let's continue on around. As I mentioned, this is probably like the more working class section of the city. This is like, you know, you have to work in order to live, and so this is where you live. You come home at the end of a long day and you retire in your little home with your family of 8 who are all crammed in there. But you have a good time, and you get a beautiful view of the river and the Knot Church, and you can even like sit in this little bench and have a nice ponder. Think about life, think about things. La 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 la. You know, enjoy the ducks. They're here, enjoying the water as well. But yeah, then if you turn back this way, we've passed the main, like the well in the center of town. And here we have the marketplace. This is the first marketplace. There are 2 marketplaces. This is more of like a trade yard. So this is like a small bakery, but nobody lives here. This is primarily just a shell to hold goods. It's not really big enough for someone to live. And this is supposed to be like a general store, so they may sell, you know, some bread items, but this is like, you know, more general use things. General store, you know, they've got supplies around, and it's cute and cozy. And then here's the trade yard, as I mentioned. I tried to make it so every stall is somewhat distinct. This is like your flower stall. This is primarily if you're looking to get flowers or start a garden or a nursery. Some supplies and things that they sell. They got the watering cans. They got actual plantings of stuff. I didn't see any like empty pots as items you could decorate with, but that would be there if it were. This is a general like food grocer, particularly produce. Some kind of farmer who sells their wares does it out of here. They've got a couple of displays with some beautiful fruit and veg. And then up here to the left, this person, they only deal in pumpkins. This is the pumpkin supplier. Do not ask them to grow anything else. They only grow and sell pumpkins. This place is supposed to be like a blacksmith, but there's not a ton of blacksmithing items aside from the anvil, so We got the anvil, of course. We've got some of the tools that they make. They primarily make tools, even though they are a blacksmith, and this is like medieval times, but they don't really make swords and the like, you know. They're not making armor and like that kind of thing. They are making tools and, you know, they have shovels, pitchforks. They also sell sickles and trowels and tiny hand rakes and that kind of thing. And they got their little wagon. They got, you know, wood because they have to burn the things in the forge, which is here. I maybe could have made like a fake forge, but I guess I didn't think about that until now. Here we have like a fishmonger. Their wares are mostly in these barrels to help keep freshness. But they do have a bunch of fish. They may catch them from the river. I don't know. Maybe fishing in the river is illegal. I don't know. So if we continue out, we're leaving the marketplace, and there's this other path. And this is supposed to be, like, these are houses that are bigger than the other ones that are multi-family use. And these are more like duplexes, right? Like, one of these people lives in the bottom layer, and one lives in the top layer. And, like, through one of these doors is immediately, like, a flight of stairs to go up. So yeah, that's the idea with these houses here, and there's several of them. This is another guard station. There is a way back here to get through to this tower. Very important to keep the city's defenses high. That is the main appeal of the city of Morningshire, is that it is a walled city. It provides the most protection you can really find, and that is in large part thanks to all of the guards. Yeah, we got some beautiful houses, and here's sort of like the public park, one of them. This is a small park, you know, kids probably run around here and they play catch or whatever. A couple of benches that you can kind of relax in and just take in the sights, the wall. I imagine, you know, if these were grates, it would be a little more interesting to look out this way. But, you know, it is what it is for now. Little water feature. People hang out here, walk around. And then if you continue along this way, if we head past the marketplace, we head along to the left, there's a bridge to cross the river, and as we cross the river, we do cross into a higher echelon of society. Like I said, these are mostly working class folk, and these folk are generally more owning class or working class but upper class. You know, you're talking about doctors, you're talking about more successful merchants. These are, again, like public buildings. These are established shops, but in these ones, the owner does live above the shop, and that's kind of the idea of them. This is supposed to be like a general store kind of vibe. They get shipments from out of the city. As you can see in their little wheeled cart. This is a little garden that's in the center of the marketplace, tended to by gardeners and landscapers. This is a true blue blacksmith, if that makes sense. They are an actual smith. They probably provide arms and armor and things for protection, but again, there's not a ton of like those specific items, so they've just got some tools. They also sell some tools, you know, basic tools, nothing fancy. This is I wasn't sure what I wanted this one to be. Let me see. Let me go around back. I think this was going to be a more true florist. So there was like a florist living here, and they've got, you know, plants and stuff, flowers and the like. Over back this way is the bakery. They sell bread and bread goods, pastries and such. I think the idea of this one was that this was going to be like a potter or like other kind of artisan that sells, you know, maybe carpentry and stuff. A little more general use, but like furniture and home items like that. If you continue off to the right over here, there's a little seat, little bench to hang out. We got, you know, ducks, and you can look over into the trade yard over there. But that does lead up to the Knot Church, but we're gonna head there last. So we'll continue along this way. And over here, this is the more expansive public park. This is the fancy public park. I think people are welcomed here from all walks of life who live within the city, but I do think that there is, you know, a little more of nose upturning if you do not live in this part of town and you're visiting this park. There's a little more of a questioning there. And this is the guard tower for this portion of the city, for this corner. Yeah, they've got another little guard station, the tower, little path that leads all the way around the perimeter of the park, so you can sit from any angle that you like. There's a little tree on this little island in the middle of this pond. I wish there was a way I could make like bigger trees. I would have made it like very large, but that was the largest tree I could get to generate. So if we continue along this way, this is more of a residential neighborhood. This is kind of what I would expect to be like the suburbs. Like these are dedicated housing for a single family. Even though it may be like a multi-generational house, it still is like one family lives here. That's what these houses are for. Each one of these is a bit more unique than the other buildings. The other buildings definitely followed a template, like all of these kinds of buildings are the same as each other. And even those buildings over there, like, you know, the multifamily housing, all looks very much the same, but out here in the suburbs, every house is a little bit different. They are not built with the idea of maximizing efficiency and space in mind. These are just like family homes that people have lived in, and you know, my dad built this house 20 million years ago, you know, or like my grandfather built it, that kind of thing. So that's what this stretch of the neighborhood is. Everyone kind of has their own little walkway up to a front door. They each have lights on their houses. They each have like, yeah, they just each have a little, some have a little balcony or patio. If there was one, I would put a little chess table here, so you could be playing chess. Yeah. And up here, another house, just a lot of cute houses. The thing is, the people in this side of town, they don't really respect the guards as much. Nobody is supposed to put their laundry through here, but people do. And this is the way to the guard tower over here in this side of town. But again, guards here don't really have rights. So they just kind of have to deal with it. This is the guard tower. This is actually the guard station. It's built into this house, and we'll get back to that. But it is built primarily underground, and the single windows here, the little ones, those are attached to the same building. That, you know, the guards have access to that, but the house above it does not necessarily have access to it. So they say. But yeah, let's continue. Let's get back to the main walkway. You can see there's like, these houses are very tightly packed together. But even so, they are cozy and cute. Yeah. More houses. That's the end of the like suburban district. There is a couple houses this way. Couple small houses still, and a little walkway, and in here, hidden, there's a door right there. It's a hidden doorway. I don't know what happens there, but it's hidden. And then up here, this is where the rich, this is where the owning class lives. These people do not work. These people have live-in maids and chefs and that kind of thing, but they do not work. They own the land. These are, they own the farmlands outside, or they own, you know, a mine somewhere and they sell, you know, ore and mineral. But this is where they live. There's no kings in this town. This is not a feudal town. This is just town. The mayor's house is here. That's where the mayor lives. And each house has a different number of balconies to show how rich they are. But yeah, this does connect with the guard station below. This is how they can get out up here if they choose. But it's kind of like, you know, sequestered into this corner, so nobody has to look at them. And yeah, that's what that's for. And yeah, that's the main entrance into that estate. This estate has one entrance there. There's this estate which is built between levels, actually, so that's kind of neat. They've got a couple levels on this side, and then they've got some levels below. So kind of interesting. As I mentioned, they each have like live-in staff. This is probably like to a cellar. They may store, you know, wine and other various goods. Probably staff quarters back here. Another entrance to this estate. It's kind of hidden, you know. And then, yeah, those are all the estates. I'll do aerial views to kind of give a better view of like what's going on and show the balconies. That's what those places are. And then this connects with the other pathway. If we go down this stairwell, this connects with the other walking path, and it leads back to the Knot Church. So as you can see, we go up a very steep hill to get to the Knot Church. It goes down the other way as well. Everyone is welcome at the Knot Church. There's a little balcony here where you can sit and look out or chat and contemplate life and things. Let's do a little more of a flying view. Yeah. Actually, let's just exit the camera mode. Yeah. That's what this building is the Knot Church, but it's also an important gathering place, gathering hub, community location. People go here for weddings and other important ceremonies. Yeah, and these places, like I mentioned, they all have different number of balconies, and there's, you know, they have different number of balconies, and there's little, like, chairs and stools, and yeah, as I mentioned, I think this person is having, like, a little bit of a love affair with the person below. God damn it. Yeah, like, they're in love, like, they're chatting and stuff. And I even put like a little area here where you can also, they can look across. There's a tree here, but it doesn't fully block it, so you know, they can be chatting from here, and it's cute and stuff. And yeah, they each have different balconies. I think this one has the most balconies. I think it has 4 or 5. But yeah, it's a pretty big balcony, and then it has like a little balcony up here. I like the idea of like baking little secrets into these places. So like this one has a secret door. Where does it lead? There's no like building underneath, so why is there a door here? We don't know. There's a bunch of storage back here where there's like so many oranges, potatoes, and then another secret entrance here. I like the idea that like a lot of old houses and big houses have secret entrances, and that's kind of a thing that I think is cool to include. Yeah, this place has 1 balcony, 2 balcony, 3 balcony, 4 balcony, 5 balcony. Yeah, and multiple different chimneys. I think this place has 3, 1, 2. Oh, maybe they only have 2. Okay. They have 2 balconies, 5 balconies. 1. That one only has 1 balcony. Interesting. This one has 1, 2. I do think the amount of balconies does directly correlate to the level of wealth. So that's the this is the owning classes, the upper class neighborhood. There are different design schemes throughout the different buildings, as you can see. These roofs are a little less well taken care of, but also more of like a brownish color. Whereas these ones are definitely a vibrant green, and there's also wooden framing in these houses, whereas these houses are largely made entirely of stone. They have windows that creep up into the roofs, which is not common elsewhere, only in these sections of the city of Morningshire. All of these houses between the suburban area and the upper class area, they all have at least 1 tower or fly 1 flag. That is very intentional. These flags are blue, or I think they're like a greenish blue, and they have little birds on them to show that people live here. This is a family home. It is not a public building, unlike the purple banners. And this banner is different. This banner is purple, it's a public place, but it's also got a different design. This has a moon on it, because when you're here, you're close to the sun and the moon and the stars, and that's important in this culture. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing. Let's see what it looks like at night. I think it does look really nice with all the lighting. The lighting does also change. As you can see, this area of town is a lot darker generally, whereas this area of town has a lot more lights going on. The park isn't super well lit, but because it's a park, and I might have added more if I had realized how few there were. But yeah, I think it's cute. Again, this is my first time making something in Tiny Glade, and I put a lot of thought into it. I really had a lot of fun making it, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing it. Even though it's pretty standard, it's not like I made any, like, I don't know, custom builds using a bunch of smaller items, you know, using a bunch of archways and stuff. I have really little patience for that kind of thing. I'm really not very good at it. But what I am good at, I think, is making, you know, a whole picture, a whole scene. You know, these buildings have dim lights, these ones have bright lights. This building, to show that some clandestine activity may occur, have like a red light, and the area that I mentioned earlier that's kind of hidden, where all the old men gather and drink and smoke, this has also kind of got that same reddish glow to show that something happens here. Yeah, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my tour. This is Morningshire, and yeah, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Bye!